And we are back for round two. So I just realized that Google has this, or YouTube has this awesome little pop-up feature. So I can see my chats coming through in a pop-up, which is nice because now I can have all of that on my left screen rather than having the video itself, which is really distracting because I don't want to see a video of what I've just done like 20 seconds ago on my left screen. It's kind of distracting. Anyway, let's just dive right in and start working on this. I want to write down a list of to-dos, so I guess technically we're not diving right in. I definitely want to get Trello set up today. So Trello API set up. So that means we'll have to create a Trello board for this. In fact, that would come first. Oh man, now that I'm live streaming, I can't burp. This happens all the time when I'm recording videos. I will often belch like halfway through just because I burp a lot for some reason when I'm talking a lot. And then yeah, I'm constantly cutting these out. One day I'm just going to create a massive reel of all my cutted out, just disgusting noises. Actually, I don't know if anyone wants to hear that. All right. So anyway, we want to create the Trello boards that all of these form results are going to be sent to. We want to connect to the Trello API. Before we do all of that, though, we have to make it so we can make all of the forms. So how about we say make models for all forms? What else? Once we've got those models set up, we also want to set up the front end. So decide on how I'm going to do that. Front end for forms. I don't know if we're going to go to a different page when you click on these buttons, or this is going to be like a dialog that pops up whenever you click on one of those buttons. So I'll have to decide on that. And how about, actually no, rather than making all of the models, let's do that at the end. So let's just get everything working first, and then we can implement everything else. So front end for, let's just say post form. Yeah, so we can get the fun stuff done, and then I could probably do this behind the scenes. You probably don't want to see me repeat everything all over again behind the scenes there. So I think that's a pretty good plan. All right, so we can probably just go ahead and get started now. I'll do my classic zooming in stuff. And how about we CD into Quasar Forms app, I think I called it. We're definitely going to have to come up with a better name. Quasar. Actually, I think it's in the title of this video. Let me see if I can find it. Quasar Content Forms. Sweet. So Quasar-Content Forms. Open that in Visual Studio Code. Jump out of here. We can probably throw that into full screen. And let's knock down this first thing. Front end for post forms. All right, so I might actually get back out of full screen because we're going to be doing some styling related stuff. Oh, and I got this gap at the top here. So what I can do, I've made it so that I don't have any like header bars or toolbars when I'm using Ubuntu. Yeah, just so I like utilize all of the space as best as possible. Cool. Let's run our development server. CD into app, quasar.dev. And for those of you that are new here, basically I've just got an API directory, which is a Laravel application using Sanctum, and I'm using Quasar on the front end. So that's what this app directory is. So that's going to go ahead and start that server. And now that's started, I'll jump into it. And here we go. This is where we left off. So this is our sort of dummy form. And what I want to do now is make it so that when you click on one of these, should the dialog show up? Or should it take us to another page? I reckon we do this in a dialog. Yeah, that feels like the right thing to do. I'm not very good at using the composition API yet, so I'll keep working on that in this video and finding new ways that we can clean all of that up. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this done. So how about this? I want this to be really separated. So I don't want to just create a dialog component with the form in it. I think we'll create a form component, and then we'll create a dialog component that we stick the form into, which means that we can reuse the dialog component. And I like to use this pattern called the dialog button pattern. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say quasar new component, and we're going to call this B for base dialog button. All right, so let's open that up now. And q-dialog component. But that's going to be sitting inside of a Q button. The idea is that this is going to be a button that has content for the dialog slotted inside it. So the way we'll be able to use this button when it's done will be like this. We'll be able to say b dash dialog dash button, throw all of our content in here. And when you click on this button, it's automatically going to show a dialog with that content. So it's just going to be a really quick way to create a button that then opens up a dialog, because that's such a common pattern when I'm coding. All right, so this is the button. We're going to say that when that is clicked, show dialog is equal to true. So we're going to want to now import ref from view. I'm so glad I actually get the chance to use the composition API for something real now. So how about this? The show dialog is equal to a reference of a variable that will be equal to false by default. And now we can expose that here. And then this is going to model that. v-model is equal to show dialog. So we click that, show dialog becomes true, and this dialog is then visible. And then what we want to do is any content that is slotted into this component is just going to show up here. So I like to name my default slot, so let's name that to default. All right. I think that's pretty much it, and this component is ready to be used. We'll probably add like a toolbar and some other stuff in the future, so I'll think about that in a moment. Let's have a look at what it actually looks like to use this now. Let's say b-dialog dash button. I got something in my eye. Example content. All right, so now let's import that. Import b-dialog button, make that Pascal case, from components slash the name of it, .view. Now with the composition API, I don't know if I'm supposed to use components in the setup. I'm pretty sure I still just use components this way. Anyway, let's see if it's okay with that. Well, at least it's okay with that. And there we go, it's working. So next, I don't want to have to like add in the card, add in the white space for the background and all that sort of stuff for my dialog component. Quasar does that to keep the dialog component as flexible as possible. But I'm actually going to, for the purposes of this very simple application, streamline this. I'll show you what I mean by that. We're going to say here q-card, and we'll give this a background color of white. Okay, so already that's going to look better. Yeah, there we go. And then this is going to sit, the content will sit inside a q-card-section. Whoops. Actually, maybe I won't do that because sometimes I like to have a button that takes up the entire bottom. So how about this? We have a Q card section and we call that... Nah, I'm just going to leave that out. Let's keep things flexible. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. So next thing I want to do is extract our form into its own component. So how about we call this... let's have a think. So this is a blog post. So let's call this a blog form. Yeah, do I need to be more specific than that? I don't think so. So how about quasar new component, and we'll call this blog form. Simple. And now before I jump into that file, actually let's go full screen here and start divvying up some of the logic I have in this index file into that blog form file. Here it is here. All right, so first of all, we probably do still want to keep that sitting within the index. Or maybe we should actually get the CSRF just before we send the post request. That might actually make more sense. So in fact, I want to keep that code available to me. So I'll comment that out for now. The other thing I'll start doing is using environment variables soon. So I'll show you how you can actually do that. So handle submit success and submitting. We'll definitely throw that into this component. Why can't I save that? Well, that's not being linted. Well, for starters, we need to import ref. Import, oh, hang on. It's the return part. I was throwing that in the return part. So now let's import ref from view, import ref from view. All right, so that and that now needs to be exposed so that we can actually use it. Except for handle submit success, I don't think I actually need to expose that because it's just going to be called within the component. So then we've got this create form request, and I'll tidy all this up in a second. And we'll expose that so that we can actually make that request. We actually want to import Axios here. Axios from Axios. And we also want to have that default form. And yeah, oh, I've done it again. I've thrown it in the wrong spot. It's weird, all this stuff that I automatically do, I can't just sort of do automatically now that I'm using the composition API. Yeah, so it's fun. Like, I like that feeling where you kind of mess something up and you feel your brain sort of stress for a moment when you're learning something new. All right, so form type stack can remain in there. We decided to leave this commented out because we might actually still end up using it. What else? Use quasar. Do we still need to use $Q? No, because that's going to be used for the notification now. So the reason I was pulling in that is so that we could have notifications working. I'll import that at the top there. And let's come up here and import that. And this extraction is almost complete. We're not going to need Axios anymore. And now we don't need any of that anymore. And we might be ready now to start building out this form. Cool. And I can now pull that out. We might not even need that anymore because I've done it in the boot file. And I think if you do it in the boot file, it's going to actually be enabled globally throughout the entire application. When I say that, I mean allowing credentials on Axios, because Axios needs to have credentials allowed so that it can do CORS requests. If you don't know what I just said, if you don't understand any of that, that's totally fine. All right, so let's go ahead and grab this card, which is the form. But I'm actually going to put it in a div because I like my forms to be as simple as possible. In fact, let's put it in a q-form component. Yep, and I'm not going to add any styling there. It's really important for me when I'm building components that my root element is as bare as possible. And that just means that you never end up trapped. You never end up in this situation where you want to change things around from the outside when you're actually using the component, but you can't do it because you've already like hard-coded some things in here. So I like to keep things as basic as possible, as little styling as possible in my components. And then the thing that's actually using it is in charge of the styling. And I found that's really paid off when I do things that way. All right, so we're going to have the adders pass through there, meaning that we can style it from the outside world. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. What I might do actually is also not have this styling here. So rather than styling each input individually, what I like to do is to have a property. How do I do this in the composition API? I think you literally do it the same way. Yeah, and then they're accepted in the setup. Anyway, so I like to have a property that says input props. Okay, so the type of this will be an object. And we'll set the default of that equal to an empty object. And then basically these input props I then apply to all of the underlying inputs, meaning I can change the styling of the inputs very easily from wherever I want within my application. And honestly, this might be overkill for what we're building here because it's so basic. But I'm going to do it anyway just to sort of show you guys what's possible. All right, so we know the type. We've got a default value there equal to nothing. In fact, now I can set a default value equal to filled because I like to have filled as the default, as my default styling throughout my application for my forms. Oh, actually, no, I should do that from the outside world. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. All right, so I've done a lot of coding now without actually seeing the result. So there we go. We've got an error. Dialog button hasn't been registered. That's because I'm using it somewhere here. B-dialog. No, it's not there. Where am I using it? All right, so I've accidentally thrown it into the form component. I can get rid of that. And I can get rid of it here as well. And let's save that and see if everything's working. Cool. Now let's see if we can actually start using this component. So the idea is when I click on this, and we might actually turn that into a button, a dialog button, that is then going to open up the blog form. Maybe we could even have a blog form button. No, once again, that feels like overkill to me. Let's open up the chat. Oh, somebody said something. Hey man, I want to say thanks for your walkthrough of each quasar component. Oh, that's so nice of you to say. I love building that series. By the way, I'm not done building the quasar component series. I'm still going to keep working on that, and we're going to explore every component. But now that the new version of Vue is available, I've actually stopped building it, and I'm going to rebuild the series using Quasar version 2, which uses Vue 3. That can be confusing sometimes. Quasar 2 is different to Quasar version 2. I think I'm confusing myself now. I'll show you what I mean. If we go to get started here, notice it's Quasar version 1.15.5. So Quasar 2 is actually Quasar version 1.15. And if we go to Quasar version 2, that's the beta version that's about to become available. So that's what I'm going to start using because it uses Vue 3 behind the scenes. That's what I'm going to start using for the component series. By the way, huge shout out to the team, especially Razvan, for making that possible. Razvan's the creator of Quasar, and he's done an amazing job making sure that we're ready to use Vue 3 sooner rather than later. All right. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Let's get back to the code. So now I might actually be able to sort of jank in a button here. So rather than having a Q item, we might actually be able to say Q-button, or make this a dialog button. Yeah, how about we just say B-dialog-button, and then we throw the blog form in there. Or we could make a blog form button to abstract this even further. You know what? I like that. Let's say blog form, and then just tack on the word button at the end there. Okay, so now I can come in here and create a new component called blog form button. Is this overkill? Let's just think about this. If I have a blog form button, how much templating is it actually going to have? All I'm going to do basically then is throw this form into the button. So maybe this is overkill. Yep, I think it's overkill. At least for now. So let's not abstract too early here. Let's come back to what we had before. B dialog button, and then we're going to throw this blog form in there. So blog dash form. I should find out whether or not I should be using camel case here or a Pascal case. I'm not sure how much that actually matters, but then let's come down here and import that component. Import blog form from blog form, and that's in components. Let's say blog form dot view, but then we need to actually use that. So we'll come down here and whack it in there. Cannot read property link of undefined. What have I done here? Let's comment that out and see if it fixes it. No, so this is in blog form. So it looks like in here, I'm using the link variable. Okay, so the problem is I haven't exposed this form. All right, so let's save that, refresh the page. All right, what next? That is showing up now, and it shouldn't because it's sitting inside of our dialog button. So let's say B dialog button. So what should be happening is that should be slotting in there. Maybe it's because I can't name that default. Weird. Let's start running the server again, or if anyone has any ideas, please let me know. Quasar.dev. All right, let me think this through. So we have the B dialog button, and it should accept whatever's passed through to it, and then put it in there. And since we're using a Q dialog, that should show nothing. I actually used this before and it worked, so I'm surprised. Oh, okay, I copy pasted that. I didn't actually get rid of Oh, no, wait. That's not index.view. What am I talking about? Weird. I feel like we tested this before and it did work. Why would that show up? So this is just a form that should be slotted inside of B dialog button. Maybe the way we use slots is different. No, we tested this before and it worked. Let's see what happens if I remove that wrapper. Oh, it's failing to resolve the B dialog button component. So that's probably the real problem. B dialog button, import. Okay. B dialog button. My bad. I was using the wrong component. All right, let's see if that works now. All right, so that's showing up. But the blog form. Oh, now I stopped importing the blog form. Sorry, I'm being total butterfingers right now. Get on top of this, Luke. You're live streaming. Blog form. Let's see if that works. Cool. All right, that's what we want. And so what I want to be able to do now is use those props, these input props, to change the styling of the form. So let's come over here and say input dash props is equal to an object. I love my linter. It makes it so easy to code. And then we can say field is equal to true. Let's see if that'll work. I might have to refresh the page. I still don't know what the go is with hot module reloading. Sometimes it doesn't seem to work for me. All right. And maybe I need to expose my input props now that I'm using the composition API. So I might have to accept it through the setup and then come down here and expose it. Do I need to do that now? But then I would have to then say props dot input props, which I actually kind of like because it's a bit more specific and you know where it's coming from. All right, it's still not working. Let's see if we can just have a look at what's being spat out there. If I use a pre-tag here and then say input props, let's refresh that page again. All right, so we are getting that. Oh, it's because this shouldn't be input props. That should just be bind. V-bind is equal to that. There we go. Now we get that styling. Very nice. Cool. So I think this is a really nice API now. We've got our blog form, but if we want to style all the individual inputs, we can. Because most of the inputs in Quasar, because it's so beautifully built, has the exact same API, or exists at least a very similar API. So that means that we can do stuff like this. And there we go. I think that looks really, really nice. And what next? So instead of saying test request now, let's say save. Or send, submit. Maybe submit's a better word. Yeah, let's come through here and say submit. All right. And there we go. And I'm pretty sure this form still works. So let's go ahead and see if we can send that. I might just remigrate the database. So let's go into API. So we're in Laravel land and say migrate, refresh. And then when it's done, we're going to see the database, which I talked about in the previous video. So now let's refresh this page here. And let's see if I can do one. The link will be my-site.com, author Luke Diebold. This was a cool series, and let's send that through. All right, cool. We're getting a problem, and that's because we haven't run our server. Let's try that again. All right, it's sent through. We're getting this notification. However, now what we want to do is hide the dialog as well. So we want to emit an event to let us know that that has actually been submitted. And let's just check if it's in the database now. So we can say tinker, and then we can say post form all. Oh, what is it? Or maybe it's blog form all. All right, here we go. And yes, that has been saved in the database. This is just a bit small, so let's get a better look at it. Yep. All right, I'm pretty cool with that. So now that it's being saved in the database, if we can then send that off to Trello, we've kind of like done the next step, which would be really cool. So let's jump over here and have a look. Front end for post form, that is done. Actually, no, it's not. Let's finish the job. Yeah, come on, let's do this properly. Last thing I want to do is send off a success request and make sure that the dialog closes. So we can now come in here and say, at success, I like to write my API first before I go on. And let's do a v-model here equal to, maybe I could just close it with a reference. Yeah, what's the best way to do this? Do I want the dialog to actually be modeled through the button? That feels weird to me. Or is it weird? It's pretty obvious that, yeah, if I were modeling that, would it be obvious that I'm modeling a dialog? I don't know. So for now, we're just going to use a ref. So let's reference that as dialog button. And then when this has been successful, I'm going to retrieve the response. I'm not even going to do anything with it yet, but we can then say refs.dialog button. And now I'm going to call a method on this component called, I don't know, hide visibility. No, I think hide is probably a good method to call. All right, so when the blog form has successfully submitted, I want to receive a success request, success event, and then we're going to grab the dialog button, which is this one here, and we're going to hide it. We're going to call a hide method. So let's go ahead and implement the hide method on that dialog button. B dialog button. Let's jump into we don't have methods anymore because we're using the composition API. How about we just say const hide is equal to a method that says show dialog is equal to false. Nice. So let's expose that. What have I done wrong here? You can't return an assignment in an arrow function. So let's do this and then return show dialog. And why doesn't it like that? It's a constant. All right. So now now the dialog button can be hidden via a hide method. Now we want to make sure that we get that success event when the blog form has been successfully submitted. So we want to say what events are going to be emitted because that's what you have to do with the new composition API, with the new version of Vue. And success. All right, I feel like I'm starting to get used to this new way of writing Vue code. Handles submit success, notify. Yeah, let's keep that notification. I think I kind of like it. And we also then want to, maybe the emit should be first. Yeah, emit should probably take priority. How do we emit with Vue free? I can't remember how to do that. Vue composition API emit. How to emit. Okay, so we pull emit out of the second argument. All right, easy. So in order to emit something, over here where we accept the props, the second argument, we receive other stuff. And one of those other things is emit. So we can now do that to pull out emit. And then down here, we can say emit. And I believe I can just say success. And then we'll pass through the response as a parameter. All right. I think that might be everything that we need to do now. So let's open up the console. Link is equal to blah, blah, blah.com. Author is Luke Diebold. Here's some comments. All right, so what went wrong there? Handle submit success, emit the success event, emits success, and now this should then receive that success and then close the dialog. I am doing way too much, which makes this very hard to debug. Let's make sure that's getting called. So what I might start doing is console logging all over the place. Let's just return the response there and the name of the method. Emit, and let's change this to handle form submit success. Maybe we'll go with that name. And then I can come down here and say handle form submit success. And that's going to be equal to a function that will return the response. And now let's just console.log that and the response. So let's see how far we're actually getting here. And we also want to expose this. And there we go. What else have I done wrong? Okay, we need to make sure I've used the right syntax there. Let's refresh this page and now see what actually happens. All right, so we've made it that far. Submit success. We've hit this method here. Ah, crap, but I forgot to then say, how do I get references, actually? Can I say this.ref? No, because we're in setup, I don't think that's actually going to work. So we need to find out how to get a reference in view 3. Let's say composition API ref. Refs in the view 3 composition API. Because I'm guessing there's a different way to do this. So we import ref from view. Ah, that's not what I meant by ref. I meant like a reference. $refs. Yeah, here we go. Dynamic refs. But how, does it tell you how to actually use a reference? If anyone knows how to do this, feel free to let me know. Composition API refs. Template refs. That might be what we're looking for. Refs, plural. What I might do is actually see what's pulled out of setup. So let's say here props and then context. I think that's what it's called. So let's console.log that when it's set up, because I think that might have it. Expose. We've got attributes. We've got emit. We've got slots, but we don't have refs. And I'm pretty sure that if I try and console.log this, let me just do a bit of undoing here. It's not going to work. I really want to figure out the right way to do this. So let's try that again. Refresh the page. Yeah, it comes through as undefined, which is kind of what I expected, to be honest. Whoops. All right, let's start digging deeper. Composition API, let's say maybe $ref. Access template refs. That's what I actually want, I'm pretty sure. This is great. I get to learn something new. Yeah, so that's no longer, so we can work with template refs. So, meaning that you just need to use the ref function you already know for declaring a... Huh? Use old instant properties in composition API. How to access? Yeah, okay then. With template refs, it might be more simple than think. The thing is, Vue.js unifies the concept of refs. Oh, okay. Meaning that you just need to use the ref function you already know. I don't quite understand that, to be honest. $ref. Looks like I need to read the docs again. Okay, apparently covers that in the next tip. Okay, let's try and think this through. So they're saying that I can use ref in order to get a reference like I've done here. So B dialog button. But I don't understand. How do I then create that reference to B dialog button? Do I just expose it maybe? Here? Like expose the component there? Yeah, that's really not clear to me. All right, let's keep digging deeper. Vue 3 composition API. No. Here we go. Maybe it's got something to do with this. Vue 3 still exposes refs in views. Passing a prop to a function, which is probably a lot more common. Yeah, but that doesn't work. This is a proposed solution. I think passing DOM elements. All right, I'm missing something fundamental here. There's something fundamental that I don't understand about references. Maybe when I say handle form submit, I can like pass through the reference by saying refs dot dialog button. I don't know. Let's try that. Yeah, okay. Sorry guys, I know this is probably getting a little bit boring now. Just really want to see if I can get this working properly. I don't like to just sit there and be like, oh, I don't know. I think it's a lot better to take the time to just figure out how things work. All right, here we go. It looks like that might have actually worked. So let's see if we can now grab that reference and then say hide directly on it. Or maybe the right solution here is to use the options API in composition, in combination with the composition API. What happened there? Reference.hide. Let's go to the dialog component. And now let's console.log in dialog component. All right, I'm going to try a different strategy if this doesn't work. Let's try that. All right, so we are getting there. The only problem now is it's not actually hiding the dialog. Okay, so that you can pass the reference in that way. You can just, so if I want to use the reference, I can just pass it through to the function that I want to call. So show dialog should be being set to false here. So why is that not then hiding? Oh, maybe it's show dialog.value. I think it is with the composition API. Ooh. All right, I'm learning. Let's see if it works now. Yay! Okay, cool. Sweet. Now I've got to summarize everything that I've just learnt to myself. And maybe I'll do a video on this tonight to show other people what I've learnt. So handle form submit success. I can probably get rid of that now. And make this more streamlined. So let's say response is equal to, and then we can simply grab that reference and then call hide on it directly. Yeah, and if I were to want to use that reference in a function, I could just pass it through as a variable to that function. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but hey, I trust the Vue team. I trust what they're doing, and I think that's what they were talking about in that GitHub thing, that GitHub issue. All right, so that still works. Let's run through what's actually happening here. We fill in the blog form, we submit it, and so handle submit is called. Then it admits success with the response, and it is therefore received here. Now what we do, since we're inside of a dialog, we grab the dialog button using the reference to that dialog button. Okay, and then we can say $refs to get our references, and then dive into the dialog button, and we're going to call a hide method on the dialog button. Now, if we jump into that dialog button and scroll down here, we can see that hide method is being exposed. Here's the method itself. And then it said show dialog equal to false, which is being referenced here and exposed here. And since that is now false, if we come up here, we can see that the dialog will now hide because it's modeling the show dialog variable. Now, the one thing that caught me is that you have to say .value when you're referencing, and that's so that that's kind of like a caveat with using composition API. You always have to say .value to get the value of, because it's wrapped inside of an object or a proxy. So, right, that's done. Now we can push ahead. That's good to know, though. I want to make sure that I remember that I ran into that problem, and we can do a video on explaining. Maybe we could even build this component as a tool for learning about references using the composition API. Let's jump out of full screen now. Come back here, and we can press on. So I want this button to be showing up in there, so it looks the way that it should. And we might switch back to just one view at a time. Yeah, here we go. Here is that button. And I basically want the button to sort of replace the list item. So instead of an item section here, and having 2 there, let's see if I can just throw the button straight in. So, okay, so it's going to have some padding. I think I want to have the queue item so that it actually shows up as a list item, which I believe is what happens with queue item under the hood. Does it? Oh, maybe it doesn't. No. All right, since it's not actually turning it into a list item under the hood, I'm happy to basically replace the item entirely. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason I can't just throw a dialog button inside of a list. There we go. It looks like that's working. Let's go ahead and give this a label. So now I can say the label is equal to post, and I'm going to say no caps here, no dash caps. And there we go. Looks like that works. And let's make that a capital P. And now we can click on that, and we get the dialog. And we're basically ready to create a dialog for each form. Nice! I'm learning so much about the composition API. Next, I want to make sure that this list has got a minimum width, I think. So let's say class is equal to, no, I can use a style tag here. I do this all the time. Some people don't like using style tags. Often, I would rather just have a style tag than create a utility class for some basic things. So for example, let's say min width is equal to, what am I doing? Min dash width, and let's set that to 250 pixels maybe. All right, and then we want the button itself to have a class of full width. And I reckon I can refactor a lot of this. And now I can say align left or align left. Let's try that. Cool. Nice, that's working really, really well. So it's really easy now for someone to basically come to this website, choose a content type. This is obviously going to have more options available. They're like, yep, I created a post and I want to let you know about it. They click on this. They put in a link, the name of the author and some comments. Submit that through. And there we go. Thanks for sending me the update. And then basically on the back end, I want to make sure that that's sent through to Trello. So let me have a sip of my coffee. We got really nice coffee shops in Australia. Apparently it's terrible in other parts of the world, but it's fantastic here. So what's next in our list? Front end for posts is done. Create a Trello board. This is going to be the fun part. So let's go full screen here. Full screen here because we're jumping into Laravel land now, so I don't need to have the other screen available. And let's say Trello API. Actually, let's say Laravel Trello. Yep, I remember looking into this before. Oh, there's more than one available. Oh, bugger. Now I've got to choose one. First thing I'll look at is GitHub stars. All right, looks like this one has not really been used. And it's got no documentation, so I think it's safe to say that this is probably the better choice. Hopefully this has Laravel 8 support. Laravel 5 Trello wrapper. Oh, bugger. Does that mean it's actually going to work for Laravel 8? I guess we'll find out. Let's require it. Why did that fail? Yeah, it's not updated. Oh, man. I don't want to have to write this myself from scratch, but I will if I have to. Let's see if there's any issues for updating it to the new Laravel. Very slow. All right. Oh, Laravel Trello. I've never actually had to make my own API wrapper because there's always someone available. So maybe this would be a really good experience for doing that myself. Build a Trello clone. No, I don't want to build a Trello clone. This is exactly what I saw before. Damn it, that API looks really nice too. Oh, I'd be so happy with that. All right, looks like this is not going to happen. Looks like I'm going to have to build this myself. And I do not have a lot of experience with this kind of thing, but hey. And unfortunately, I don't know if I can live stream this because I'm going to have to deal with API keys. I mean, I could put it on my bottom screen and hope that you don't see things that you shouldn't be seeing. Ah, bugger, that really sucks. All right, let's just do it. Sometimes you just got to roll up your sleeves and get it done. So let's say Trello API. The Trello REST API. Anything else? All right, thus begins our journey. Yeah, I might do this in another video. I probably want to spend some time understanding this a little bit better, thinking about how I'm going to wrap this in a way that's nice as well. All right, so we might have to leave it there, guys and girls. Sorry about that. I wish that, you know, I could have gotten a bit further in this video, but next time we will actually work on implementing the Trello API. And hey, it's kind of cool because it gives us the chance to see what it looks like to wrap an API ourselves using Laravel. All right, so I'll see you guys next time I do a stream, and I hope you enjoyed this one.